She almost cancelled that morning. Something in her chest had told her not to fly. But logic won. Emma Rhodes boarded Flight 218 bound for Chicago with a tired sigh and a paper cup of coffee that had already gone cold. The airport was alive with the rhythm of departure calls, rolling suitcases, and brief goodbyes that didn't feel like endings. She sat in seat 22A by the window, her usual choice, because she liked to watch the wings cut through clouds. It reminded her of her father, Captain Daniel Rhodes, a pilot who had spent most of his life in the sky and lost it there too. 3 years had passed since his final flight, the one that never made it back. His voice still echoed in her dreams, calm, steady, full of quiet pride. "The sky isn't dangerous," he once told her. "It's just honest. It shows you who you are." Emma hadn't flown since the day of his funeral. But life, as it often does, demanded movement. Now, as the plane taxied down the runway, she pressed her forehead against the window and whispered, "Just one more flight." The engines roared. The earth fell away beneath her. She felt that old ache rise, the one that mixed fear with memory. The clouds welcomed her like ghosts. Across the aisle, a child laughed. The cabin lights dimmed. The seatbelt sign blinked off. Everything was normal, ordinary, safe. Until the intercom clicked, a soft static breaking through the hum of engines. Then came a voice, steady, calm, achingly familiar. "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking." Emma froze. Her heart stopped mid-beat. Because the voice on the intercom wasn't the current pilot's. It was her father's. For a moment, Emma thought she was dreaming. The cabin buzzed softly with conversations, the rattle of cups, the laughter of strangers. No one else seemed to notice. The voice came again, smoother this time, echoing through the cabin speakers. "We're cruising at 34,000 feet. Expect clear skies ahead." Her hands trembled. Her father used to say those exact words, in that exact tone. Every flight she'd ever taken with him began that way. She turned to the man beside her, but he was flipping through a magazine, oblivious. No one reacted. Was she losing her mind? The intercom clicked off, and silence swallowed her thoughts. She pressed the flight attendant button. When the young attendant arrived, Emma asked, her voice unsteady, "Who just made that announcement?" The attendant blinked, confused. "Our captain, ma'am? Captain Miller?" "No," Emma whispered, shaking her head. "That wasn't him." The attendant smiled politely, unaware of the storm brewing behind Emma's eyes, and walked away. Emma gripped the armrest. Her chest tightened. Memories flooded in. Her father teaching her how to navigate constellations, his laughter on her 16th birthday flight, the day she promised him she'd never fear the sky. "But you did," she muttered, tears blurring the window's reflection. Then, minutes later, another announcement came through. "Emma," the voice said, soft now, intimate, personal. Her breath hitched. Her name. He had said her name. "If you can hear this," the voice continued, "don't be afraid. You were never meant to stop flying." Her vision spun. The man beside her looked up, startled by the sound of her gasp. Did he just say your name?" Emma's lips parted, but no words came out. The voice faded into static. Her father was gone again. Or was he ever? Emma's pulse thundered in her ears. The cabin around her blurred. Passengers scrolled through screens, sipped sodas, adjusted vents, completely unaware that something impossible had just happened. She wanted to stand, to shout, but how do you explain hearing the dead through an airplane speaker? She pulled out her phone, opened the in-flight channel list, and checked the crew roster. Captain Miller? First Officer Grant. No Daniel Rhodes. No recording system could know her name. Her father's voice, she knew every breath, every inflection. It wasn't nostalgia. It was him. Determined, she unbuckled her seatbelt and slipped quietly toward the galley. The curtain swayed as she stepped closer. The flight attendants exchanged puzzled glances. "Miss, please return to your seat," one said gently. Emma leaned in. "I need to speak to the captain. Now." The attendants hesitated, professionalism cracking into concern. Is there a problem? Yes, Emma whispered. I think someone's using the intercom, someone who shouldn't exist. One attendant frowned and radioed the cockpit. A pause. Then, a voice replied over the handheld radio. We haven't made any announcements since takeoff. Emma's heart pounded. Then who? She began, but a sudden turbulence shook the plane, cutting her words in half. Passengers gasped. Drinks spilled. The seatbelt sign flashed back on. She grabbed the edge of the counter. Through the tremor, through the chaos, she heard it again. Her father's voice. Calm. Commanding. Easy, Em. Breathe. Just like before. Her knees weakened. The voice wasn't over the intercom this time. It was inside her headset, the one she'd accidentally left in her pocket from a past flight, now flickering to life with static. The frequency wasn't connected to anything. Yet his words came clear as dawn. You're not done with the sky. Emma's shaking hands pulled the headset free, staring at it as if it were burning. The small green light blinked, alive, connected to nothing. Dad? She whispered, barely breathing. No answer. Only static. Then, faintly. Altitude steady, keep calm. Her tears welled, a strange mix of terror and longing. The pilot announced turbulence, telling passengers to remain seated, but Emma barely heard him. The headset hummed again. You've grown, Em, her father's voice said, quiet, loving. You're braver than you think. You're not real, she whispered. You're gone. I never left, came the reply. A chill swept through her. The lights flickered. The plane jolted hard, tilting slightly left. Alarms sounded faintly from the cockpit. Gasps erupted around her. Emma stumbled back into her seat. Her mind was a storm of disbelief and fear. The headset lay in her lap, still alive. Then she heard the cockpit door open, the first officer rushing out, pale-faced. Is anyone here familiar with aviation? He shouted. Our communication system just failed. Emma's breath caught. Coincidence or connection? She raised her trembling hand. I used to fly with my father, she said softly. The officer's eyes met hers, desperate. Then we might need your help. He led her forward. The headset's green light blinked again. A whisper followed, only for her. It's time, Em. Just like I taught you. She stepped into the cockpit. The sky ahead was dark with storm clouds. Her reflection stared back from the windshield, half fear, half fire. She sat down, trembling. Dad, she murmured, if this is you, guide me. And in that moment, the static turned into calm breathing, then a voice. I'm right here. The cockpit buzzed with alarms. The autopilot had disengaged. The pilots fought to stabilize the aircraft. Emma, heart racing, slipped the headset over her ears. Talk to me, Dad, she whispered. Tell me what to do. You know this. His voice answered softly. You've always known. The first officer shouted coordinates, frantic. The plane shook, lightning flashing through the clouds like veins of fire. Emma closed her eyes, remembering the simulator lessons her father used to give her at home. Trust the horizon, he'd said. It never lies. She reached forward, gripping the yoke gently. Pitch down 2 degrees, her father's voice said. Trim steady. Good. The first officer turned to her, stunned. You're flying? She nodded, tears streaking down her face. Not alone. Outside, the storm raged, but the aircraft began to level. That's it, Em, the voice said proudly. You've got her. Her heartbeat synced with the rhythm of the engines. Fear melted into focus. Tell Mom I kept my promise, she whispered. You just did, he replied, fading slightly. The storm began to break apart, light seeping through the clouds. Air traffic control reconnected, voices crackling over the radio. Flight 218, do you copy? The first officer responded shakily. We're stable, we're okay. Emma exhaled, realizing she'd been holding her breath the entire time. She turned toward the co-pilot, But before she could explain, the headset went silent. No static. No voice. Just peace. She looked out the window. For a split second she saw it, a flash of light shaped like wings cutting through the clouds. And she knew. Her father had never left her to face the sky alone. The descent was smooth, almost eerily so. The first officer guided the plane toward the runway, but it was Emma who felt the rhythm, the control, the pulse of flight. The storm had vanished, replaced by a sky painted gold and violet. Passengers whispered prayers of relief, unaware of the miracle that had just taken place. The wheels touched down, a soft thud followed by applause. Tears filled Emma's eyes. The headset, now resting in her lap, blinked once more, then died completely. When the doors opened, and sunlight spilled through, she lingered by the cockpit, whispering, "Thank you, Dad?" The first officer approached her quietly. "You saved us back there," he said. "You somehow knew exactly what to do." Emma smiled faintly. "I had a good teacher." Later, standing in the terminal, she watched other flights take off, each one disappearing into the same sky that had once terrified her. But now, it felt different. The fear had dissolved into something sacred, something alive. She raised her gaze, whispered, "I'm not afraid anymore." And somewhere, beyond sight, in a sky too vast for words, her father's voice echoed softly, "That's my girl." The hum of engines filled the air. The horizon stretched endlessly ahead. Emma walked toward her next gate, calm, certain, free. Because sometimes, the ones we've lost don't leave us behind. They guide us home in ways the world can't explain. And on Flight 218, Seat 22A, the sky had remembered a promise between a father and a daughter. A promise that love, once spoken, never truly fades.